My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Back Pocket Podcast, a podcast run by two blokes who also think it's acceptable to smack someone in the back of the head just because you haven't got a few free kicks. My name is Alistair, that's Jack, and if you couldn't tell, that was completely facetious.
Who among us hasn't been at work one day and someone's just been like pestering you all day on the job and you're just like, what if I just freely swung at this guy's head?
I can't even do it. All I can do is tell people to get a job from behind my screen.
We've all thought it. Tom Lynch has acted on it, unfortunately.
Yes.
Just waiting for the Tom Lynch has actually been undiagnosed with ADHD this whole time. That explains all of his misdemeanors.
Yes.
The usual cover-up.
His blood sugars were a little too low.
That's right.
That's one of the best ones.
That was the best one. Of the carton king at someone because his blood sugar levels were off. That was good. Anyway.
Come up, his Crohn's was acting up a little bit. He just had to let loose.
It was again another pretty poor weekend of footy, and this week we're treated to top 9 versus bottom 9, just to make it even better.
I think, it's just so tiring. I think I saw a stat, and I don't remember if it was 7 or 9, but either 7 or 9 out of the 16 rounds we've had so far has had a bye.
Yeah. Has
had teams not playing. And it's easier for us because we have to watch less footy, but it's just so hard to follow.
And what I thought was really funny was I saw some article, it might have been by Fox, or one of them being like, it's just too many weeks of buys. It's like, you all want a 19th team.
Yeah.
That makes 24 weeks of buys.
That's a buy every week.
It's just every week has buys. So, I don't know what the solution is, but less buys is better, I think.
Yeah,
when I saw the fixture this year, my original thought was there's more games every week than usual because there's more weeks of buys. Yes. But then we went through the 5 weeks of buys and I went, nah, this is bad.
Yeah,
this is worse.
It's good for fantasy. You get 3 trades every week.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
It was a struggle. Why did we have 1 week where it was just Freo and St Kilda that had it off?
That was odd.
Why couldn't we just move that to another one and have 1 week less buys? And obviously we've still got the schmozzle that is Essendon Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So it's just a shambles.
Who are playing this week as well?
Yes, as well.
Yeah.
So their first meeting is in round 17.
And their next meeting will be in round 24-ish.
24 plus.
Yeah.
You have to subscribe extra for that one.
24.0.1. Will that one be on free-to-air? Who knows? Maybe on the Gold Coast. Or you can just go to AFL House and just watch from the outside. I'm sure someone will have it on a TV.
I would like to say
this is maybe the least prepared we've ever been for an episode.
100%.
Not only did we obviously have last week where Alistair wasn't here, we then had a rent inspection this week, and then we just arrived yesterday afternoon. We went, I haven't started anything. So we're doing it today. So once again, you're getting this after a game has been played, and once again, that game is completely inconsequential to the weekend of football.
Oh, 100%.
So that's fine.
I did prepare some notes here that I'm just going to run through quickly. I would like to say thank you to Polly and Joe for filling in for me. I really appreciate the assist because I don't think you, as a human, are able to function unless you have your dedicated hour of talking about football. So they really saved everyone, mostly Beth.
Yeah, mostly Beth. Yeah.
I do have a few notes, however.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The first is, I was off the podcast for less than 5 minutes in total before you told the Kent Kingsley story.
They gave me the perfect opening of it.
I can imagine your face lighting up at the lead-in to it.
I've got the footage. I can show you later.
You're kind of like, when you go to a family party and you've got a nephew who's really into Minecraft and he's just looking for any in. He's like, oh, they're about to serve chicken. Did you know they have chickens in Minecraft? That's you with Ken Kingsley. So that's my first note. Secondly, all 3 of you complained about having to care about your team in finals, like it was a bad thing.
No.
Boo-hoo, we have to follow our team through to September. Come on.
I don't think that was the tone necessarily. Mine was just saying that Richmond fans have had the perfect football enjoying experience due to they're either really good or really shit. So there's no like middle ground where you get too invested and then lose.
You're all whinging a bit too much on that one. And thirdly, 10 plus minutes of just pure slander about my team.
They were, to be fair, on live in the background.
And that's fair. It's been a shocking
Like,
2 weeks,
if-
especially.
I feel like maybe if that wasn't happening while we were doing the podcast, it wouldn't have been as bad. But looking up,
decided-
it was like, it's now 7-0.
I've decided that I'm starting this podcast off with 10 minutes of slander of Geelong and
Oh,
Sydney.
go for
So
it.
settle in. No,
Can
I'm
you
a
believe
nice
that
person, so I'm
Geelong
not doing that.
Traded with Gold Coast to get Jack Bowes in for 3 VFL players.
They lost that trade somehow.
They somehow lost that trade.
Can't put my finger on it, but there's something about Geelong.
You cottoning onto it?
I fear if I say more, I will get in trouble.
How can they afford all of those players?
No, I'm not going to rip into two teams that
Um,
just because you guys support them. I'm nice.
yeah, well, I mean, you didn't have to rip into Sydney. I feel like they are sad enough about Sydney as it is without them needing to be ripped into. I think North copped it last week.
Is an Amati party a happy party? Is it sad? Is it like a funeral?
I think it depends. Like, yeah, often an Amati party is sad, I think.
All right. Do you want to get into
It's
votes?
like a regular party. But every song that comes on is a miss.
Or everyone just rocks up to the wrong address.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're playing Adelaide and then you kick 9.5 or something.
9.5.
As he did last year, remember?
I think it was 8 goals.
I think in the half, and he kicked 9 for the game.
Oh. 9.5.
yeah,
I thought you said
yeah.
9.5. I'm
No,
like, you
no.
can't kick half a goal.
Anyway, yeah, so votes. You did the intro. I guess I'll do the first vote. My
Sure.
one this week was to Liam Baker.
I've got 2 for Liam Baker.
You got 2 for Liam Baker. I did think Liam Baker was really good. West Coast put up a really good fight against Collingwood. I was saying to you earlier that like I feel like if they hadn't bombed that one out to Houston with seconds
bad.
left on the
It's
clock
bad.
for him to bang that home, they would have had a much better chance that last quarter. But either way, it was that their game plan starting to come through, and Baker's doing a really good job rolling off half back.
Yeah.
Along with McCarthy again, who looks right at home at AFL level. So
35 disposals, which has probably got to be one of his highest ever, right?
yeah, I think so.
And he also had 2 contested one-on-ones, and he won both of them. So
Yeah.
pretty good from him.
I did note that actually, which is cool. So who's your one?
My one vote is to Lewis Melican.
He was really good. He didn't end up getting a vote from me miraculously, but if you take that first quarter out, he would definitely get votes.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he ended up with a 1, because obviously that's...
I think if
kind of
especially
it.
from half time, he monstered him.
Yeah, he only had 9.1 rating, but he had 5 contested one-on-ones. He won 4 of them, alongside 7 intercepts and a bunch of marks. He was good.
Yeah, like considering before the game, it was like, oh no, 195 centimetre Melican is being put on freak of nature Sam Darcy because McCartan's out. He did a really good job under the circumstances.
100%.
So, I can totally understand that. My 2, since you've done your 2, was to Asava Radical.
Oh, okay, he's my 3.
He's your 3. All right, we're just stepping him up. He's had a few good weeks. Like his last month has been a really solid month of form.
I think we joked about his player rating probably being the highest of his career last week.
A couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, sorry. He had a 17 rating 2 weeks ago. This week he had a 17.9.
Oh, he's just stepping
So
it
he's
up.
eclipsed it.
But yeah, his intercept game's on really strong. He seems to be having less brain fades. And he's always been good one-on-one, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the brain fades are moving out of his game.
11 intercepts,
He's not
7
trying
spoils.
to pick off kicks that he shouldn't be picking off, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
My 3 was to Max Michelani.
yeah, that's fair.
Who I thought was
could throw
really
a
good. There was a
blanket
few
over a couple of
Adelaide
Adelaide
defenders.
boys.
I thought Worrell was fantastic. I thought Butts was really good. But Michelani was my 3. He just defended really well, but also has been rebounding really well recently. I think he is really creative out of the back half, and Adelaide have needed that. It's been one of their biggest weaknesses. Even though that back 6 was good, it's just like it hasn't linked to the midfield very well.
It's pretty consistent this year.
And this year has been good, yeah. So that was my 3. Who was... I guess I'll just go to my 4, because that's how
Yeah, sure.
my 4 was to Carl Amon.
Yeah, I have him in special
Who
mentions.
has been in the votes a bit and special mentions for me a bit this year. He's having a really good year. He and Impey are waxing really well off the halfback flanks for Hawthorn in the way that they get back really well, but also manage to push up and play like an extra wing. and they're desperately going to be needed if Weddle is out for 4 to 6 weeks. So
I just couldn't bring myself to put a vote in for Carl Amon because that game was disgusting.
Yeah, it was bad.
Like,
it was bad.
we've been around. Like, I was giving battle votes when they were winning like that, but this one was just particularly bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
My 4 votes, and this one is a little bit of a meme, is to Jordan Butts. I have written down here, he will successfully keep Tom Lynch to 2 disposals for 6 weeks. It's true.
It is true. And I think
Name one other defender who's done that.
I almost voted for him as well, because obviously Michelini was the only reason I didn't vote for Butts, but he, outside of getting clocked, he did keep Lynch completely touchless for a half of football. And despite Lynch obviously being a bit older and a bit slower, has still been a presence this year for Richmond. He's still an intimidating and large player.
He won 6 out of 6 contested one-on-ones and had 8 spoils to go with that.
That's
really pretty good.
So, I'm more than happy with Butts getting votes, even if I didn't help. My 5 was to Jordan Clark.
No one else you could give it to.
He was just sensational.
I just wrote down 31 disposals, 14 intercepts, 6 intercept marks, and rebounds, I guess.
Yeah, he... our criticism of both he and Ryan early in the year has, they've both really switched a bit. I found it really interesting seeing that Ryan was part of the ones saying that they've got to stop getting cheap stats, and I was like, you first, buddy, but I guess he has. His last few weeks have been good, and Clark's just... he's so damaging when he gets on a run. And we were begging earlier in the year for Freo to play fast football. And now that they are, you get to see those players playing much better football. The 3 big boys, really, Tracy, Jackson, and Darcy, were the reason they won that game in the end. But all game it was Clark. Yeah. Friend of the show.
Previous guest.
First guest. Was both our 5. So I don't think that moves anyone around. There was none of our top few got votes this week. So.
Yeah, I've got Jeremy Howe in my special mentions. He didn't get a vote from me this week.
Yeah.
I've got Josh Worrell as well. I also have John Noble written down twice in my honourable mentions.
I also have John Noble in my honourable mentions.
A double honourable mention.
He didn't quite get a vote, but he was in there. So, yeah, it wasn't great. It was a hard week to watch football. And I did joke that if Carlton did win, you would have to take every week off.
And I would be happy with that.
Yeah, you would. I know, yeah.
Sadly, it was not to be.
Same as when the other day Sam McClure was saying about how there's too much trade chat on his Trade Chat podcast, and I was like, I too have tried to find reasons to stop doing my own show. Sam McClure's like, I just hate fucking working with Mitch Cleary. His glasses piss me off.
Isn't it funny how Mitch Cleary went from being someone who was reasonably respected and over a course of 2-3 years has just completely tarred himself?
He's just a slop guy.
I look at him and I just fucking go, I can't stand you.
Yeah. And I was actually talking to my dad about it the other day. I was saying about with Cal Toomey that I do think Cal Toomey still does really good work, but I shouldn't hear from Cal Toomey between March and September. Yeah.
Gettable just is so...
Bring me Cal Toomey every time there is a carnival.
Yeah.
For updates on how the juniors are doing, and then bring him back in August.
Because at least Riley Beveridge does reports on clubs as well.
Yeah.
But Cal Toomey has such a draft
and trade brain.
It's just impossible to take it seriously when they're running Gettable in April.
Yeah, it is. And
how many weeks do you reckon on Gettable they've said TDK is going to St Kilda?
Oh, enough.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if he doesn't now. Dude, and my thing is...
I wonder how many times they said Bergman was gone. Now he's signed.
That's so
Someone
funny.
should go back and check.
That was what I said it on the other day, and I was like, if you've watched this year and you've seen Rowell, Warner, Bergman and Pickett all sign on with their current clubs after being sure things to move, this is your sign to stop caring about trade slop during the year.
Yeah.
That has to be the sign to be it clearly doesn't matter. Very rarely, we had Houston didn't end up going where they thought he was going, but he did leave. Bailey Smith were the only 2 from last year they called early that happened. Everyone else ended up signing on or staying. Oliver stayed, Jackson stayed, Darcy stayed. All of these players didn't move clubs. It's only the ones that come out. This is usually around the time of year where actual trade stuff starts to surface, where players do move. But it's just dumb. It's so.
Did Maynard re-sign?
Maynard did re-sign. He was a sure thing to go to North.
Yeah.
And then he knocked out Degoe at training, which is insane. But I don't, I'm not a doctor. But I don't know how he was still
4 weeks
2 to
away.
4 weeks away. I don't get how he's further away.
It's like the biggest news of the week. Alarm. Jordan De Goe's been knocked out at training and it will stop him from playing. Yeah, he's already injured.
In 2 to 4 weeks.
Concussions, we're not making fun of concussions.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Absolutely. Although, like, I made that as a joke. I was like, oh, yeah, Maynard's back at training and now De Goe's been knocked out. And then the footage came out and I went, oh, shit.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened.
Funny.
Yeah, I can't. That's. Do we have any stocks up, stocks down this week?
I've written stocks up, stocks down.
I can do an Alistair come up with on the fly. So what's your stocks up?
Whoa. I do them mostly every week.
Yeah, you do most weeks. That's true.
I've just written stocks up on the fantasy pig in training, Tom McCarthy. I don't know if we already did stocks up on him 2 weeks ago, but buy. If you haven't bought now, what are you doing? He looks like he's a top 10 Eagles player.
He's a genuinely good footballer.
He looks like he's slotted in immediately. He knows how to find the ball. He wins intercepts. There's no issue with his game that I've seen so far, and obviously they've been better since he's come in.
Yeah, I agree.
So put your stocks in him. I hate the cliche of he looks like a 50 gamer already. I know he's mature age, but genuinely he does. So that's an absolute win, especially after some of their MSD picks have been.
Yeah,
to say the least.
I would like to stocks up just Sydney's
having their full team.
Yeah, we obviously covered it when they didn't have their full team. You did a whole segment on it, but
I did.
They got very close to a very good Bulldogs team last week.
And you'd argue if they had McCartan, they could have probably
absolutely. And they looked really good the week before. It's crazy that adding 4 of your best 10 players back into your team makes you a better team.
How much energy does Papley and Goulden bring?
Papley people made fun of it. Papley going straight to Darcy started that game. That just lit a fuse and it made the game hot all game. Amazing they played such a good game on a surface where no one could keep their feet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good to see Sydney playing good football. I think they will be annoying to teams playing finals from now. I think that loss has probably ruled them out.
Yeah.
Because they now have to win every game for the rest of the year, which is tough considering they've got Freo, Brisbane and Geelong to come.
Weirder things have happened.
And yeah, I think they will piss off some finals teams with their run home. So that's my stocks up, I think. Sweet.
My stock's down. I don't know if you said it last week or the week before.
Yeah.
I was going to say the SCG, but I moved away from it. Because we already did it. We did it it's not a fortress anymore.
Yeah.
But now it's not a fortress where people slip over and the ground's terrible.
Andrea Bocelli. And his stupid song with Yannick Sinner.
So I'm using my stocks down on Blake Acres.
Yeah.
Blake Acres, a finals hero for Carlton 2 years ago.
Oh.
I think genuinely has to be the worst kick in the competition. He's basically like Blind Freddy. He just fucking kicks it and no one knows where it's going. Well, except for up. It goes all the way up.
Half a shoulder and no feet.
He doesn't even have half a shoulder.
He
hurt the other one. Now he can't pick up the ball anymore.
It's bad that I've been using him as a reference when someone has a bad shoulder. I'm like, he looks like Blake Acres.
It's almost embarrassing trying to watch him pick up a football.
Yeah, it's rough.
And the fact that after 2 losses like that he's still in the team and players like Binns and Lucas Camporelli haven't replaced him through his bad form.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough.
My stock's down, and this might seem like a cheap shot. But, and I've been pretty defensive of Essendon in general this year because they are rebuilding and have had a lot of injuries, but I am stocks downing their medical team.
Think it's a medical team, or do you think it's Marvel?
I think it's got to be partly their medical team because they didn't play at Marvel this week and they got 3 more injuries at training.
Yeah, didn't Hayes do an injury as well? Although Ridley's back in the team this week.
Yeah, for a quarter. Parrish re-injured. Reid has extended his time on the sidelines. It's insane that they just keep dropping like flies.
Langford hurt himself again.
As well. It's been good for them to be able to bring out so many kids. Like Lual looks like he's actually going to be a player. Angus Clark looks very exciting. Johnson looks really exciting. Don't know why they're playing Merritt off half back, but that's a different story. Even Archer May looks solid enough as a second or third forward. But the fact that they've had to uncover all of these players because they are dropping like flies. They've now used 40 players this year. And what is it, 11 debutants, 12?
Yeah, something ridiculous like that.
It's rough.
Where are they sending their rehab group? Are they
I don't know.
practicing in like a rocky field somewhere, and
They're playing at the Queenstown Gravel Oval in Tasmania. They fly them all down there.
One day in the gravel, one day in the mud.
Yeah.
Then back to Marvel just for
Yeah,
fun.
they train at SCG in Queenstown. But yeah, that's it for me. I think it was enough this week that I was like, how have you got more injuries with 2 weeks off?
It is funny that like the two most disappointing teams of the last 30 years in Carlton and Essendon just have the worst injuries of all the clubs across the league over the past like however many years, and it's mostly all soft tissue injuries and ACLs. And both of them had like 4 Achilles as well.
We talk about Marvel tax, and it is a real thing, but I like injuries are only a part of the Marvel problem, I think. Bulldogs and St Kilda find other ways to make problems for themselves that aren't injuries. Bulldogs very nearly looked like they were going to do it again tonight. When they were down at half time, I was like, this is the most Bulldogs thing you could do.
Not to talk about this week's footy on last week's
yes.
podcast, but
True.
Game in hand, they're currently sitting top 4, so they could potentially...
They should, hopefully, finish top 4 from here, but will they? Probably not. They're the Bulldogs. But they still look like when they're on, close to the best team in the comp.
They did end up winning by 50 points, Jackson.
And that was... Yeah, it was like that game they played against North last year.
I just looked at Lebra and Bont's fantasy scores. Did you see them in the end?
Yeah. I was talking to someone, it was a Collingwood fan actually, they were talking about Collingwood as well, and I was saying the thing with Collingwood this year to me that's interesting is I think their floor is higher than anyone else's, but I don't know if they have the ceiling of some of the other teams.
Isn't that exactly how you win a flag though?
Yeah, it can be, but like all it takes is one good day from Brisbane, Bulldogs, Geelong to knock them off. I think they're the teams that are real dangers to Collingwood when they get going.
Well, I mean, they're no danger of finishing outside the top 3. So
they will finish top 2, almost definitely top. But yeah, that's it'll be interesting to see if they can get that extra level out of them because they just are very good consistently currently. And everyone knows how to play their role. That's been my biggest thing on them all year, is the players just come in and just play just as well.
Not playing anyone outside of position either, which is...
Yeah. I don't know if you saw both of them, but pretty amazing that like the best mark and goal I've ever seen were both taken in country footy in Victoria this week.
It was huge.
That mark, he flew over the top, crashed down on his back,
looked like
doesn't
he died.
matter. Amazing. And then that goal where like both the defenders somehow accidentally picked him up and he bicycle kicked it with like the bottom of his foot through the goals.
And especially because we're only a week out from the bird that saved a goal.
The bird killed itself
to save a goal.
That bird is so dead.
So
like when he's carrying that bird, it's just flopping in his hands.
The country and seconds highlights are better than the main highlights.
Yeah, I mean that Royal Marshall goal last week was like that's what should be goal of the year to me. The ridiculous, outlandish stuff. But it'll end up being one of those ones where someone's taken the ball out of the centre and taken...
I don't know, the Nick Watson one's pretty good.
That was incredible. It's mostly because he's so small. His legs have to move so fast to get him there.
It looked like a cartoon.
And it's a double. I love a double effort one where like he got the ball off and got it back. But yeah, that Marshall one where like he just had the peace of mind to... He's like, I'm going to wrestle here, so I'm just going to lean back and whack it through.
Yeah,
For a minute there, I was like, that might have won them the game. But Jackson and Darcy just combined both ways. Jackson to Darcy, Darcy to Jackson. And maybe Freo are good. It was St Kilda. I have to keep in mind it was St
They've
Kilda.
got some interesting tests coming up. It's Sydney, Hawthorn, Collingwood?
Yeah.
So of those 3, lose all 3 of those, and that's huge for their finals. So,
and that was 3 teams that they lost to on the run home last year. They beat Sydney. And then everyone was like, they're guaranteed top 4, and then they started losing.
Yeah.
St Kilda's such a weird team this year. They've beaten Fremantle and Geelong and lost to Carlton and West Coast.
sounds like St Kilda.
And that's it's a mix. They're a strange team. I'll never like. It's obviously the whatever Ross is up to. It's very odd. Tauru looks great though. Special mention Tauru for 14 spoils on debut.
I don't even know if that's how you say that. It was the second week though.
It's Tauru. It's Tauru.
Yeah, it was second week he got.
Oh, was it? Yeah, it was. Anyway, Flying Viking.
I just saw that Sab mega fan tweet you sent me. That's it's not funny.
It's a bit
I
flipped.
can't even talk about it on the podcast.
Can't even talk about it. Otherwise, the podcast will get shut down. That's fine.
Which one's in charge, Dill or Gil? He'll come to our house and he'll shut us down.
Well, have you seen that photo of Gil at the races?
No.
So Dill's the one currently in charge. Gil's the formerly in charge.
Yes,
and
okay.
he's now the chairman of Racing Victoria.
Yeah.
Or Tab Victoria, whatever.
Yeah.
Something
Gambling,
to do with
horses.
gambling in Victoria. And he was at the races and they interviewed him, and he's in a full like Victorian top hat. Like it's like a good half a foot or more tall top hat on his head, full tuxedo with tails. That's how he should have been at the Brownlow reading votes every year. That's my take anyway. I loved it. I think that all AFL administrators should dress full suit and tails, top hat.
I'm trying to see if I can find it just by typing in Gil.
Like
and hat.
imagine the fat conductor with hair. And that's kind of what Gil looked like at the races.
Oh, it is a big top hat.
It's a big top hat. It's enormous.
That's novelty as fuck.
Yeah, I don't know why that was his fit for the day, but
I just love, not to shout out, but this particular news article just says, look at this picture of Gillan McLaughlin and his hat.
it's exactly how I felt about it. Jack Sinclair should design him one.
A cowboy top hat?
Yeah.
That's good. I would like that.
The crossover everyone didn't know they needed.
I wonder what noise he'd make at the end of the video.
I never pictured Jack Sinclair as the guy to make hats. It just didn't seem like his vibe.
Yeah, well, clearly he's into it, so...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think Jack Sinclair will want too much for a career post-footy. He's probably getting paid really well at the Saints.
Absolutely.
If he can find like a niche hobby thing that he can make enough money out of just to survive, and if it's something like cool like making hats, good on him.
Also one of those things that like if it gets
He does seem like the kind of person that post-career will have like one of those feather earrings.
like
He's
a
already got the
Julian
earrings, but
Casablancas,
like the full,
yeah,
100%. With the cowboy hat,
cowboy hat earrings. He gets really into rodeo.
mesh tank top.
Oh, all right. So you were going there, and I was going to say maybe he gets into real estate, but not with the feather earring and the mesh tank top.
I mean,
Work hard, play hard. Yeah, I guess.
would you buy a house from someone wearing a mesh tank top?
Oh, I would.
Yeah, exactly.
But
He's doing it for the lesser man.
right, okay. Like he's only selling properties in like Fitzroy.
Yeah.
Like the real like hipster areas.
It's a really, really stupid bit. Move on.
Yeah, I think it's time to. I don't know where I should go after that.
We could talk about. I'm tipping the Bulldogs this week.
Oh yeah, games this week. Well, I definitely tipped the Bulldogs. I think I actually got really close to the margin in the end.
I picked 32, so I was 8 to 17 off.
There is one game that can be game of the round this week, I think, and it's the Freo Sydney game.
Oh yeah.
I tipped the Bulldogs by 48, so I was 1 point off the margin.
Oh nice. Good
That's
job.
pretty neat. Yeah, I'm picking Collingwood to beat Carlton.
I have tipped Carlton as I do
as you
every week.
I'm picking Giants to beat West Coast.
Same.
I'd love West Coast to make a game of it though. I'm picking Suns to beat Essendon.
Which is the game of the round.
That's the game of the round?
Yeah.
All right. Geelong, Richmond, I'm picking Geelong to beat Richmond. Richmond forward line has gone missing due to punches. Two different guys.
Campbell's still there.
Oh no, Bolter is playing.
Bolter
Sorry, that's
and
right.
Campbell.
He should be maybe able to make it home by the by
Do
his
they
curfew.
have a helicopter at Richmond? Maybe they can...
Oh yeah, give him a quick.
How fast is a helicopter? I don't know.
It'll be faster than driving up the highway.
Depends on how fast you're driving.
That's true. Yeah. Depends on how many fans break down. I'm picking Brisbane to beat Port pretty comfortably,
Same.
I think. Hawks to beat St Kilda.
Yep.
Swans to beat Freo, but not confidently. I think Freo are favourites in the
I've
game.
also tipped the Swans.
Oh, interesting. And Adelaide to beat Melbourne, but I also wouldn't be surprised if Melbourne get up there because their best has still looked pretty good for the last month. If they showed up in the first quarter against Gold Coast last week, they might have won that game.
Yep.
Yeah, that was I was really worried for Gold Coast in that last quarter. They really almost flubbed it. They didn't, which is credit to them because I feel like a Gold Coast team in previous years absolutely would have lost that game.
Yeah.
So maybe they are doing better. My favourite part of it was the in-game commentary being like, after the big spray he got in the media last week, Ben King's just really sorted it out. And look at him go today, and it's like he has kicked 2 goals, 2 from 5 kicks. That is exactly what he was criticised for last week.
That's Ben King going for you.
He is ranked 23rd. So I looked it up, there was 23 players who had 25 goals or more so far this year. Of those 23 players, I'll just bring up the exact numbers here. Ben King is 18th for goal assists, 22nd for marks, 23rd for tackles, and 23rd for disposals.
Yeah, but who cares? Gold Coast are in the 8, I think.
They are currently, yes.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, but you do want more than that out of your mobile forward.
Yeah, it's just who's the second, right? Walter's not quite good enough to.
Yeah, and Ben Long's kind of doing it, but he's very undersized.
Yeah.
For that role.
Need Sam Day back.
But yeah, I think it's just I did think Ben King was doing that stuff previously more than he is now. So I don't know whether it's a coaching decision to have him just kind of planted inside 50, or if it's he's lacking the ability to do much else at the moment.
They are still a game in hand,
lots of injuries. Yeah, and that game is admittedly against Essendon, who may have players back before that game, but even so, have still
They're a fully fit list then.
Will they?
No.
They'll lose different guys we didn't even know were going to get injured. Who am I getting? It's Parrish and Ridley. We know who it is. But yeah, I still think Gold Coast will make finals, but I do think that they might be fighting it out for that 7th, 8th, 9th with GWS and Hawthorn. But I think a few of those teams play each other before the end of the year, so we'll really see where they're at.
Yeah, I haven't got my ladder predictor done up to this point because I kind of got depressed doing it. So
yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's the 8th spot to me is either going to Gold Coast or GWS. I think Hawthorn are in.
Yeah, I think so. And Hawthorn's percentage after that boost last week helps too.
I mean, if Port win every game for the rest of the year, but will they?
Probably not. They've got Brisbane at the Gabba this week. They've got Geelong in a couple of weeks' time.
That's the exact kind of game that they would stand up for.
That's the exact kind of game that they win. Yeah, you're right. You are right. Just doing it for Ken. And
well,
Josh.
I mean, he's not
doing
he's
it for
not
Josh.
coaching. He's sitting at the
said
back
last week he
drinking
was.
he's drinking his Pepsi Max. Leave him alone.
He just liked it on the back bench. Ken Hinkley, inaugural Tasmanian coach.
I still want to do stats on
Hinkley and Bucks Tasmanian coaching duo.
That's not too bad.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
At
If you've
least
got
they're
Bucks
like
doing tactics and you've got Ken doing people.
Yeah.
That's
and
okay.
For a guy who retired this week,
Who?
Dom Sheed.
Oh.
Buckley was a Dom Sheed miracle kick away from being a premiership coach.
Yeah.
It's still amazing West Coast won that game from how that started. It's probably the best modern grand final.
I still think it is. I don't care what
was
anyone
so cool to
says.
watch.
I don't think 2023 is anywhere close.
Like, especially, I watched it in a house full of people barracking for Collingwood because they were all Freo fans. I was barracking for West Coast purely because I didn't want Collingwood to win it.
Yeah.
Like, I even joked last week after barracking for Collingwood from the couch, I was like, barracking for West Coast, like, West Coast fans, you get one from me a year. This is the one game you get me cheering for you guys this year. You did a pretty good job.
I got so unbelievably drunk after that game. That was the day I had the half beer, half gin boot mug, and I ended up at the pub so blackout I was spitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, it's worth it. Dom Sheed. That man will very rarely pay for a beer in WA ever again. Until he starts to be unrecognisable.
Yeah, I was going to say the problem is I don't think Dom Sheed is very recognisable, no. Just looks like every other average plumber you'd see out of the pub.
He needs to wear the West Coast kit everywhere. Yeah, if I saw Dom Sheed out of kit, I'm not even sure I'd recognise him.
Sometimes I look at Dom Sheed on the field and I go, oh, who's that? Oh, yeah.
You do that with half the players out there. Is that what Cooper Harvey looks like?
So real. You'll be so proud of me. I used Dan McKenzie and Gridley the other day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's like to drill it into you, but you're not
serial.
knowing who he is.
How many weeks in a row did I say, who's that?
Yeah, a lot. It's actually one of your more enjoyable watching football traits. Jake, who was it earlier today? The former Sydney guy.
Constanti.
Constanti. You're like, who's that? Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done my Gridley for a couple of days because I'm sick of doing teammate of. So
Yeah, but that's every day.
I know. I just wish it would stop.
I haven't done it for a while either.
That's all right. Tomorrow's will be teammate of Michael Walters. You know
Maybe.
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
today's Libba. Today's Lipper. Tomorrow's Walter.
Today's Libba. Libba performing better in his game than Bont did in his own last week. So
Well, Bont did better in
and
Libba's game too.
Unless the Bulldogs Twitter and Facebook admin is the most evil person ever, we're almost definitely going to get a Bontempelli contract renewal news this week. I think they didn't do it in the week gone because of the Libba game, but they've been liking and like eye emoji reacting everyone's comments about Bontempelli getting a contract. If he doesn't get a contract renewal this week, that's the most messed up behaviour you could possibly do to a fan base.
Very funny.
It would be funny, and I would respect the game, but evil behaviour.
I mean, they're a fucking social media admin. Of course they're evil.
That's true.
It's just,
Yeah.
You have to be unhinged to do that job.
Oh, I can't, like, you log on and you're like, you have to post your FT comment after hard night.
Not the result we wanted tonight.
And then, because it was Carlton fans last week that were like, why are you posting on social media when the club is a mess? And it's like, it's this person's job. Like, that's their job.
Would you rather not find out what happened at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Me,
Oh,
personally, yes.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I just want more news about the graffiti. Who did it? Was it Brett Voss? Was it
no,
Michael Voss?
I'm almost convinced it was Collingwood supporters.
Wanted to keep Voss?
Yeah.
Sack the board.
Yeah.
Liod instead of Lloyd.
Yeah. I
like
don't know
that.
who Austin Liod is, but get rid of him.
Some random guy whose actual name is Austin Lloyd. He's like,
No, Liod.
Austin Leon. He's like, what did I do? I don't even work for Carlton.
I mean, personally, I like not to give credit to the graffiti man, but that is pretty much what I want.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't care as much about Austin.
It gets to a point where it'll be unfortunate if Voss has to go because it's just fucking untenable. But he clearly has established the fact that he can coach over forgetting the last 14 months. The 18 months prior to that, he was coaching a very functional football team.
You can't sack
that were a
coach
couple of kicks
every
away.
3 years.
Exactly.
You just can't
do
it.
Otherwise, you end up in a North Essendon hole.
Yeah.
Not North Essendon, different place.
I don't wanna
That's
go
where
there.
the airport is. But like you end up in a hole, right, where you've got to make other changes, like either get rid of
Yes.
assistant coaches or board members. They've already
Like,
CEOs changing hands anyway, but
Not being hyperbolic.
maybe we need to bring back Dick Pics, man. Maybe.
Josh Boots.
Yeah, no, not Bootsma, the CEO. We're not bringing back Josh Bootsma. I said yeah straight away. What was his name? CEO Centre
Sayers.
Yeah, Luke Sayers. Bring him back,
Honestly,
or trick everyone and get former bowler Chad Sayers.
I think it comes down to, I feel like we have people in the wrong areas, and I'm not going to say that these people aren't good assistant coaches. I think Luke Power does a really good job with the VFL team and the development, because the youngsters actually look quite good. I think that Aaron Hamill has done a really good job with the backline. Are you okay?
Yeah, so there's a real big lump in my lower back.
Jack diagnosing himself on the podcast. We did that a couple of weeks ago.
It's all right. We had a big segment last week where me, Polly, and Joe were diagnosing cricketers.
What was I saying? Luke Power good, Aaron Hamill's good, Ashley Hansen's really well accredited. Why is Jordan Russell the forward line coach?
There's clearly
Jordan
something,
Russell is a half-back pocket
There's clearly something going wrong between
midfield,
the midfield and forward line.
Tim Clark's done a really good job with Cripps through his whole career, and I know Cripps is a huge fan of Tim Clark and would like him to stay there. I think it's Tim Clark is the name. I don't know if you're real stupid if I got it wrong.
I believe it. Not Tim Callan.
But maybe that's where it should be. Maybe they bring in a new midfield coach, new forwards coach. I don't think the ruck coach needs to change, personally. That one's fine.
We've seen...
Head of football needs to change, and maybe get a director of coaching. Like at Melbourne, they've got, what's his name? Choco.
Yeah. Like we saw, like John did a pretty big assistant coaching overhaul after the couple of years of finals failures, and it worked.
It worked.
Like they are clearly...
I don't think Chris Scott would be at that club if that hadn't
despite
happened.
winning that flag, forgetting that, they've clearly been a more threatening team in the last few years than they
They
were
don't wait until
before
halfway
making
through
that
the
clear
fourth
out.
quarter before playing fast football.
Yeah. And like sometimes, even when the assistant coaches are good, there's just something that's not meshing, and you just need to make a clear out.
And I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but like if you have someone who is, you know, not only good with people and tactics, like a John Longmire, not as coach, but as like a director of coaching, alongside Voss with some refreshed assistants, some youth in the team, some new players, and a fit Curnow and Mackay next year, because I don't think you should trade either of them.
I agree. I think it would be insane to do that.
It's insane. All the journalists being like, oh, they need to trade them, and the next year they'd be like, why
can't
did
believe
Carlton
they let them
trade
go.
Charlie
Exactly
Curnow? He's
like
kicked 15 goals in 2 weeks. What
You
are
mean
they
exactly
doing?
like the Bailey Smith stuff.
Yeah.
Where they're like, I can't believe the Bulldogs are playing hardball with Bailey Smith, and this year it's like, I can't believe they let him go
Geelong
for
got him
one
go for
first
nothing.
rounder.
Wow, no one knew this was going to be good. It's outrageous.
Yeah, man. The guy who, in his second year of football, almost won a Gary Ayres medal. Never going to be good. What a shock. And, like, again, people always talk about these players that have left the Bulldogs, like Dunkley and Smith. It's like, their midfield is still the best midfield in the comp.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the problem that they have. It's better to move those guys out and try and
It's their
fix other
bottom six of
spots.
Bevo boys.
Yeah, and some of those Bevo boys have been really good. Bramble's last quarter last week was insane.
Yeah, well, I was watching that and going, the hell is Brambles on
But
the
I
fucking
have
flu
questions
game
about
here?
Caulfield. I have...
Yeah, it's the players like, and O'Donnell's been good, but
Why isn't
it's
Bustlinger playing instead of
Caulfield, O'Donnell, and the rotating group of like Poulter, Baker,
McNeil.
McNeil. Vanderbeer's established
Vanderbeer's
himself
good
this year,
now,
and I
yeah.
think that's fine.
West also good now.
Anthony Scott hasn't played this year. I did check; he's still on the list. I just remember he kicked 3 against Carlton once, and I was fucking tore my hair out.
But yeah. Bevo does amazing things as well as the crazy things. And that's kind of where I'm like, people don't acknowledge the, like, he's made Richards into an All-Australian midfielder when he was a half-back.
Yeah.
Fraser has just become a very good player.
Yeah, mini Bond.
I didn't think Riley West was close to AFL level,
No.
and he is now
A
one
premier
of the best
small
small
forward.
forwards in the comp. So O'Donnell, another great example, right? Like, he is just good
Yeah.
now.
We make fun of Bevo a lot on this podcast and in our general lives because it is really funny to see him do Bevo things. But I think for every Bevo move that misses, there are 2 that hit.
Yeah, he's clearly a very good coach. The Bulldogs...
He's spent so long saying we will not swing Norton into defence. He dropped Liam Jones this year and he hasn't been cited again, and it's been fine.
And Norton's looking back in form again in the last few weeks. So amazing that now that Darcy's back and Norton's no longer getting triple teamed.
Yeah.
That he plays better football. So
It's
massive Norton defenders over here also. Like
yeah.
there is
And it's not like he's not playing the youth either. He is.
Yeah.
Like Garcia
Yeah.
played tonight. Sanders has been playing.
And good.
Cooper Hines has been up forward, even though it hasn't been as good as you may like. Obviously, O'Donnell's not old.
but he's still
Karmas is in and out. They're still playing the youth alongside those Bevo boys.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not like the Michael Voss situation where the young player's in for a week and then they're out.
Yeah,
instead
Bevo
of
gives
an
them a run.
experienced player.
but yeah, I would like, again, I expressed it last week to 2 people who don't like the Bulldogs because they're Sydney fans. I would like to see, if not someone like Freo, I would like to see the Bulldogs do it. Bulldogs are a
Yep.
team that I am endlessly happy for when
No
they
problem
succeed.
with them. There's no one in the team that I look at and go, oh, fuck you.
Yeah, and Premiership player Rory Lobb would be so funny.
It would be very funny. I would love it if on Grand Final day he
Imagine-
had one of those beers saved.
Imagine you go, all right, of all of these players that came out of our school as football talents, who's going to win a flag? Is it Murray Newman? Is it Dale Garland? Is it Nick Nat? No, it's Nathan Broad and Rory Lobb. They're your... Like, that's funny, right?
That is AFL though.
Yeah, oh
That's
yeah.
exactly it.
Yeah. And that would be funny. Nat Nui was injuries away from being,
Yeah.
you know...
I think if you had a draft of head coaches,
Yeah,
Bevo's going top 5.
absolutely.
There's no...
Clearly, if he was at a club with the resources and home ground advantage that other big Victorian
Yeah.
clubs, Geelong, Collingwood, Hawthorn, get...
I think Scott, McRae, Bevo... I think that might be your
That's
top
my
3.
top 3, I think, yeah.
Mitchell?
I think Mitchell's clearly a good coach. I think Fagan's clearly a good coach.
That might be your top 5.
Fagan, the resilience that they've had coaching that Brisbane team through the injuries over the last 2 years. They won a flag last year out of nowhere, and they've navigated injuries really well this year. Fagan can clearly coach.
I think Clarko and Lyon would get inflated picks by people who are thinking about their legacy, but based on current form, I would not take them
Either
top
of them,
8.
no. And then everyone else
I'd probably pick someone like Kingsley in the top 8.
Yeah.
So
and
let's make that 6.
Uze's shown he can coach. Like that Richmond team was expected to win no games this year. I don't know about McGalter yet.
I don't think Nix has shown enough to be picked that high. Who am I missing?
Josh Carr, technically.
Nah. Maybe.
Simon Goodwin, I don't know. Can Simon Goodwin coach? I can't tell.
No, I wouldn't be picking
There's
Goodwin.
a lot going on at Melbourne that's confusing, and I don't think it's all Goodwin's fault. They still technically don't have a CEO. It's just Brad Green being like, I'm doing it.
I guess Dimmer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He clearly can.
He's clearly doing good things at Gold
It's
Coast.
the best
and he
Gold Coast
won
have looked.
3 flags. It's not like, the Clarko Alliance situation where he's coming back from either a flag or grand final appearance and they're not performing.
Yeah.
Dimmer's still doing well.
Yeah.
I think that's...
Longmuir's hit and miss. He's been endlessly frustrating.
Probably picking Brad Scott, 8.
Yeah, and Brad Scott got sacked at North and they just plummeted and stayed there forever. They're about to have their first outside the bottom 2 finish since Scott left, and it'll be 3rd from the bottom.
Who's your last picked coach? Who's 18th?
Currently Ross Lyon.
I think I would also pick Ross Lyon last.
I don't think he has, especially for current, modern football.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got the skill set to do it. It clearly worked back before they changed 100 rules between 2010 and now. But yeah, I don't think that he has the skill set in modern football to do it. I think that football moves past people so fast as well, and that's like the Clarkson thing at North. You can't coach the same way forever. We talked, obviously, when Geelong won the flag, that Chris Scott completely overturned his way of coaching both players and game plan, and that's the only reason he's been able to stay relevant.
Yeah. And Longmire, at the start of his Sydney tenure to the end, when they were still making grand finals but losing...
Completely different.
Completely different.
They were a very defensive team, and last year they were the most
attacking
It
team
was insane.
to ever exist.
Yeah. Whereas I don't think Clarkson and Ross have changed as much.
Clarkson's the same, and Ross Lyon... I think the problem with Ross Lyon is you see the hints from the players.
Yeah.
Because you can see Sinclair and
they'll play that halfback running game at Marvel and you go, holy shit.
Yeah.
And then they'll play that game that they played against Carlton and you go, huh? Why?
Why are you being stodgy when your biggest attribute is the speed off halfback?
Yeah. So, who knows?
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. We're just rambling.
We can probably wrap it up there, I reckon. That's the most you could talk about football with no notes.
Yeah. I had...
Yeah,
all my notes were just making fun of you and Polly and Joe. So.
That's fine. And I really appreciate, again, Polly and Joe for coming on. Really saved our skins last week and added a bit of a different dimension to the show, which I thought was a bit of fun. So, and made fun of me for saying rugby instead of league, which is totally justified.
Oh.
I did do that, and I will continue to do that. But anyway, thanks.
Beth was talking about going to the soccer, and she called it the footy, and I was like, that's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. It's like in Australia, you got football, but if you got to call Aussie rules football.
It's like chips and chips.
But you can say Aussie rules. If you say AFL, there's a certain community that'll be like, no. AFL's the league, not the sport. So you've got to say Aussie rules. And you can't say football about soccer because then everyone else will be confused that you've said football about soccer. You can't say football about rugby because there's 2 rugbies, and you can't say rugby about rugby because there's 2 rugbies. But if you do say rugby, it means one of the rugbies.
Do words even mean anything anymore?
There are too many sports called football in this country. That's what I'm saying.
I think Australia obviously is dumb. We say chips and chips.
We say chips and chips, and we got football and football. Yeah, you're right. That is dumb. And then we can't...
Snag roll can be 2 things.
We are a stupid backwards country.
Yes.
In so many ways. But we do possess the greatest sport on earth. So that's nice. It's lawn bowls.
Yes! We got there.
And that's probably as good a place as any to leave it for the week. Thank you, as always, for listening to The Back Pocket. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.